This workshop's objective is to help you be prepared to work with French real estate agents. Here's a takeaway of the key points to remember. If you're a foreigner exploring the French real estate market, you will quickly discover that there is no MLS in France, no multiple listing service, which means that for each listing, you will have to deal with a different agent. Quickly, that's a lot of listing agents, possibly dozens. So that's the first thing to know. You can't avoid agents, so you better be ready because you're going to have to deal with lots of them. This workshop should help you prepare. When it comes to buying or selling property in France, try your best to work with agents who have experience dealing with foreigners, agents who are locally based within the area you're interested in, and agents who are fluent in English or at least have a good working proficiency in the language. If you're selling a property, the first thing you should do is reach out to local agents to help set the asking price, but always keeping in mind that you make your own opinion, not letting agents sway you. Then, once you've gathered valuation estimates, you can choose the agent whom you feel the most comfortable with and grant them an exclusive contract for an initial 3-month period. This contract should absolutely include the conditions that they collaborate with 3 or 4 other listing agents, who could be local, national, or even international, and that the agent reports to you weekly during the initial 3-month period. This way, at the end, you will be able to decide if you keep the contract exclusive or not. If you're house hunting, by definition, you will meet multiple listing agents. You should focus on those who take the time to listen to you and try to understand your requirements. Once you've established a good rapport with your favorite agent, nudge him to work with other local agents to broaden the scope of your search. This way, he or she becomes your main point of contact, which should be an incentive for him to prioritize your needs. You need to know that the frustrating characteristics of French real estate listings, such as being brief on details and long on exaggeration, and omitting the property location, are a consequence of an outdated law, of historical practices that discourage exclusive sales agreements, leading to agents who create useless listings to protect their commissions. It's crucial for you to recognize this context, as messed up as it is, if you ask me, and approach each listing with a thorough list of questions to ensure you gather all the necessary information for you to decide if you want to visit the property or not. Don't hesitate to pressure listing agents for answers, as it's their job to answer you. Another important thing, listing agents are hired by and work for sellers, not buyers. Keep in mind that the agents you're dealing with may not be in a position to negotiate the fee or manage relationship with the sellers, because that's usually handled by their boss, the licensed broker. Money-wise, it doesn't really matter who pays the commission, because ultimately the agent's fee is deducted from the sale proceeds, which are paid by the buyer. So, as a buyer, you should just determine your budget, decide how much you're willing to pay for a given property, and use that figure as your starting point for negotiations, regardless of the amount of the seller's agent's fees. A warning. Some listing agents might try to convince you that visiting a property and showing interest in it automatically and legally means you're obliged to close the purchase with them, as if you were locked in with them. Well, that's not true. That's not even legal. In France, you have the freedom to choose who you want to work with in the real estate market. Real estate agents in France, like in any other country, are in the service industry, so you should think that they will listen to your needs and requirements at all times. When you're selling, the listing agent is your representative, and their behavior should reflect that. They should take the time to understand your property, address all your initial questions, explain their marketing strategy, and provide updates all the time. When you're buying, even though they legally represent the seller, listing agents should strive to give you all the relevant information and help make the best decision, which might very well include buying their client's house. Real estate is a challenging field, but it's the agent's chosen profession. If they can't meet these expectations, they might want to consider a different carrier, and you might want to consider finding another agent. Finally, a few words to conclude this workshop. You can't avoid French real estate agents, but you can learn how to use them to your advantage. To do that, you need to understand them in their context. A good number of them are hardworking professionals trying to do their best, but sometimes their best is not good enough or they're simply not up to the task. So you need to be prepared. If you're house hunting, don't forget that listing agents work for sellers, not buyers, which means that they should do everything to help you decide to buy their customer's house rather than anybody else's, without telling fibs or half-truths. If you're selling, you should pick the agent to represent you, do it diligently, and make sure that they respond to all of your questions and provide you with ongoing feedback, even if you're far away at home. Don't let yourself be pushed around. Ask questions. Use apps to make sure nothing gets lost in translation. Get answers. Ask again. Because, well, there's a lot at stake, wouldn't you agree? The main takeaway about real estate agents in France is that, like everywhere else, they are in the service business, even if they need a bit of reminding sometimes.